Good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Yesterday, in the last class, we discussed about hypoxia. The number of students attended was very less. It was hardly 20-25. I thought of revising the same topic, as this topic is very important from examination point of view and comes under mandatory zone of physiology. But today also, unfortunately, I am getting the number again same around 25-26. I think the same students are attending, those who attended yesterday also, and remaining students are not at all interested nowadays. Either they are traveling, but still number of students attending is very less, in between 40 to 50. Anyway, I hope all settled yourself in Bijapur. As per the instruction, from 28th onwards, that is next week, I think you are having the offline classes. Okay. So, what you want to do? You want me to repeat a little bit hypoxia, or you want me to continue with some other part remaining?
So, please repeat hypoxia.
And another number who just now asked me to repeat?
129, sir.
129. I think for the first time you are joining online class?
No, sir. I was traveling the last time you taught hypoxia.
Well, not all. A small introduction about it. So hypoxia, you know what is that? So hypoxia, this term in blood also you heard, as I told, erythropoiesis. So when you study about the factors affecting the erythropoiesis, there you will come to know about one hormone, that is erythropoietin. It is a hormone as a response of hypoxia at the kidney level it is secreted. So hypoxia for the first time you heard in the first here with respect to partial pressure, we should talk about the hypoxia. Hypoxia means what is that? It is the deficiency at the tissue level, a decreased oxygen supply at the tissue level, we can say. So there are basically 4 causes. Depending upon the causes, the hypoxia is divided and classified into 4. Okay. 1, because of the partial pressure. Because of the partial pressure. Second, because of the hemoglobin content. Third, because of the flowing capacity of the blood. And the fourth, about the tissue utilization. So, depending upon the 4 causes, the hypoxia is divided into 4 main things. With respect to partial pressure, it's been called as hypoxic hypoxia. With respect to hemoglobin, it is called as anemic hypoxia. With respect to third one, the flow of the blood, it is called as stagnant hypoxia, and the tissue utilization, it is called as histotoxicity. So the reason I told hypoxic hypoxia because of the partial pressure of oxygen at the arterial blood. So there are a difference of partial pressure of oxygen, atmosphere, at the lung, at the artery, at the tissue, and at the vein. So because of this pressure gradient, the oxygen moves. When arterial blood is having normally 104 mmHg, where outside it is 159. So instead of 104, if it is less, it leads to hypoxia. So some examples are there. Why in this arterial blood will be having less PO2? Some higher altitudes, some close environment, like that I will show. So in case atmosphere contains less inspired air, I mean to say with respect to partial pressure of oxygen. So these are the causes of hypoxic hypoxia. ineffective gas exchange at the O2 transfer due to the problems of respiratory membrane is also one of the reason. Okay. Some features of the hypoxic hypoxia. What happens to during this hypoxic hypoxia? Okay, so these are the features: low arterial fluid PO2, low saturation, low content of oxygen, and the difference of arteriovenous will be more. So the reason just a minute. So this is a 1 hour class. I can't tell you everything here, but I would like to tell the main things. We are talking about the hypoxic hypoxia. It is because of the partial pressure of oxygen at the arterial level. So why it occurs? It occurs because of high altitude, where this partial pressure of oxygen is less. Breathing artificial gas with a low PO2. So if the cylinder for the artificial respiration, the cylinder contains a gas. If the partial pressure of that gas is less, automatically the arterial blood will be having less PO2. Then, in case if you are breathing in a closed area, so it leads to hypoxic hypoxia. So hypoventilation is less ventilation at the lung level. And with respect to pulmonary ventilation, we talk. Any abnormality found in lungs, that is pathology. So one condition we can generally say COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. In this, what happens? It leads to hypoventilation. So, and the obstruction in the respiratory passage also leads to hypoventilation, like in the condition of asthma. Asthma is an allergic condition where there will be collapse of the respiratory wall. It leads to hypoventilation. So, any other conditions like decreased lung compliance, where the elasticity of the lung goes, and decreased efficiency, paralysis of the respiratory muscles, as in case of poliomyelitis occurs. And in conditions like damaged respiratory centers, all these things leads to hypoventilation. When hypoventilation occurs, the PO2 in artery decreases. So this is also one of the cause. High altitudes, hypoventilations, and reduced oxygen diffusion at the respiratory membrane, where this gaseous exchange occurs, the atmospheric air enters the blood, that respiratory membrane. In case if deformity is there, it also leads to hypoventilation. Yeah, hypoxic anemia. Okay. With respect to next one, anemic hypoxia. Anemic hypoxia. So it is concerned with hemoglobin. Any reason by which the content of the hemoglobin or the RBC count decreases, naturally the oxygen carrying capacity will be hampered, altered. So it leads to anemic hypoxia. So in the beginning I told there are 4 causes. Each cause results into one type of hypoxia. Here the cause is hemoglobin, but there won't be any problem with the partial pressure of oxygen. Here force of the blood and the tissue flexion. All the 3 remaining causes will be normal. Only problem with hemoglobin. That is the reason it is called as anemic hypoxia. So the causes are any conditions of, for example, anemia is the best reason where the hemoglobin content is less. Hemorrhages, you can say. So bleeding occurs. When bleeding occurs, RBC number will be decreased. So it leads to anemic hypoxia. So after third cause is the abnormal hemoglobin formation like methemoglobin. So it also leads to carboxyhemoglobin. It also leads to anemia. So these are in detail with respect to partial pressure, saturation, and all. Everything yesterday. So stagnant, so decrease in blood flow. The third cause. Here, what happens to the other causes like PO2 at in the artery, hemoglobin and the tissue inflammation. All three causes will be normal. Only there will be decreased flow or sluggish flow, which is called as stagnant hypoxia. The causes are CCF, circulatory failure, hemorrhage, shock, venous obstruction. Just imagine the conditions in which blood flow will be decreased. Okay, so hemorrhage, so bleeding, and bleeding blood volume is less, flow will be less. Shock, temporary pause of the circulatory system. So venous obstruction, these all things lead to stagnant hypoxia. But other three reasons for the hypoxia will be normal. Okay, so these are the features. And the fourth one, histotoxic. Histotoxic. So the tissue utilization will be hampered here. So oxygen delivered to the tissue is normal. It means the other three regions like partial pressure of oxygen, hemoglobin, and the flow. All these three are normal, but there will be a problem in utilization of the oxygen at the tissue level. It occurs. The causes means cyanide poisoning. Means the cyanide poisoning. Okay, it blocks the tissue utilization of oxygen. So immediately, with a fraction of moment, the person will die. You might have seen also in the Hindi movies when hero catches the associate person of the wheeler, immediately take one tablet and he will die. That is nothing but cyanide poisoning. Okay, so some other causes like a very and all. Okay, not like, but this is the features of histotoxic hypoxia. So with respect to the partial pressure, with respect to saturation and or oxygen content and pressure in the artery of the venous difference. Just I'm briefing yesterday's class. Just you go through one more time. Okay, with respect to the different system, what the hypoxia will affect on respiration. All except anemic hypoxia stimulated peripheral chemoreceptor and thus increase the respiration. The rate of the respiration is increased to compensate the effect of hypoxia. So hypoxia, what it does, the cause is decreased oxygen supply. To compensate that one, the respiratory rate increases. With respect to CVS, heart rate, everything, cardiac output, stroke volume, heart rate, these increases. Ultimately, it leads to increased blood pressure. So when the pressure increases, the flow also increases. So it tries to compensate the hypoxia. With respect to GIT, nausea, vomiting, anorexia, these are the with symptoms with the GIT. CNS, with respect to CNS, the brain is affected in all four types. So mental activity is sluggish at rest, impaired judgment, drowsiness, disorientation, headache, and coma. These are with respect to CNS signs and symptoms of hypoxia, and reduced work capacity. When the muscle is getting the less oxygen, naturally muscle activity will be less. Okay, the treatment is oxygen therapy. In a small way, I would like to conclude the oxygen therapy. There are two types of two methods in oxygen therapy. So, what is this oxygen therapy? When individual person required because of hypoxia, because of so many reasons. So external oxygen is given. So the first one, the person, individual person, the head is kept in a tank where that tank contains oxygen. So that is a pressure oxygen. So that is one type. The other one, it is outdated one. The other one, oxygen given with help of mask or tube. Nowadays, what we get the treatment in the hospital, especially you might have seen in the pandemic, when the person is in hypoxia. So oxygen, depending upon the saturation level, the person is advised to go for the oxygen therapy. So it is given in the form of either mask or nasal tube. Okay. So these are two ways. So in generally, just to go through in detail about the therapy, because I have to continue some other portions also today. So by giving 100% oxygen, there is one capacity level. So 8 hours that individual person can sustain. So later it leads to a landstill in condition called as oxygen toxicity, or where this edema and all occurs, pulmonary edema and all occurs. With respect, we know the differences of classification of the hypoxia. With respect to the classification, by giving the oxygen therapy, we can cure the first type of hypoxia, that is hypoxic hypoxia. By oxygen therapy, 100% result will be there, because it is because of the decreased partial pressure. The second one is anemic. To the extent of 70%, we can cure the anemic hypoxia by giving the oxygen therapy. The third one, stagnant to the extent of 50%, effect will be there, result effect will be there, 50%. And the fourth one, by oxygen therapy in the conditions histotoxic hypoxia, result is 0%. So oxygen therapy is not useful in all four varieties of hypoxia. The first one, 100% result. The second one, 70%. Third one, 50%. The fourth one, histotoxic. If you give the extra oxygen therapy, when tissue is not utilizing, not in the condition to utilize, then no use. No use. So this is about oxygen. So oxygen toxicity. So just to go through it. So this hypoxia is a long question for you and may get 5 marks also. So you have to write the definition, causes, classification, and the region, and the treatment of oxygen therapy. So this concludes the short explanation about the hypoxia. Okay. So now, today I covered all this. We will start some small topics, which are the Viva questions for your examinations. Hypercapnia. You heard this hypercapnia while we were discussing about the chemical regulations. What is this hypercapnia? Hypercapnia means excess carbon dioxide in the body fluid. In the body. So you know the ventilation, respiration. There are two types, external respiration and internal respiration. External respiration includes three types. Pulmonary ventilation, that is the exchange of oxygen from the atmosphere at the alveolar level. Second one, diffusion. From there, it diffuses in the blood. Third one, it is transferred to the tissue. So all these things are the part of external respiration. Internal respiration, gases exchange at tissue level. Okay, so the natural thing, carbon dioxide utilized and oxygen is utilized and carbon dioxide is liberated at the tissue level. This is what routinely going on at the tissue level. When this carbon dioxide production increases the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, that condition is called as hypercapnia. Oh, this condition is called hypercapnia. Hypercapnia usually occurs in association with hypoxia. Whenever, if you go through the chemical regulations, Whenever hypoxia occurs, hypercapnia also occurs. And increased hydrogen ion concentration will be there along with the increased PCO2. Only when hypoxia is caused by hyperventilation in the circulatory deficiency. Okay. Circulatory deficiency, diminished flow of blood, decrease the carbon dioxide removal from the tissues, resulting in tissue hypercapnia in addition to the tissue hypoxia. The transport capacity of the blood for carbon dioxide is more than that of oxygen, so that the resulting tissue hypercapnia is much less than the tissue hypoxia. So I told while we were discussing about the chemical regulation, if you take these two things, hypoxia and hypercapnia is the most strong stimulant for the respiratory center. Hypoxia is less, as hypoxia will be closely associated with hypercapnia. In chemical regulations, there are the concerned receptors are chemoreceptors. There are two types of chemoreceptors. One peripheral, another one central. Central chemoreceptors stimulated by this hypercapnia. Peripheral chemoreceptors are stimulated by hypoxia. So as this central chemoreceptors are in closely relation with DRG, dorsal respiratory group, they stimulate immediately. Okay, this carbon dioxide in this condition, hypercapnia, is a strong stimulant for respiratory. While the alveolar PCO2 rises to 60 to 75, normally normal PCO2 in the vein is 40, but it rises to 60 to 75 mmHg, breathing becomes rapid and deep. Why? The body tries to eliminate the carbon dioxide out of the body, but because the pressure is increased, partial pressure of CO2 increased, so it leads to hyperventilation. It tries to eliminate the carbon dioxide, liberated carbon dioxide in the body, form carbon dioxide in the body. It should go out, so it leads to hyperventilation. So above 60 to 75 mmHg, breathing becomes rapid and deep. That is hyperventilation. Air hunger, dyspnea becomes severe. If the PCO2 rises to 80 to 100 mmHg, the person becomes sluggish and sometimes even semi-comatose. Anesthesia and death can result when the PCO2 rises to 120 to 150 mmHg of severity conditions. Causes of death. At the higher level of PCO2, the excess carbon dioxide begins to depress the respiratory centers rather than stimulate it, thus causing the vicious circle. Okay, so as I told, it's a strong stimulant. When the PCO2 increases to the severity level, instead of stimulating, it tries to depress the centers, depress the DRG centers. So DRG contains different types of neurons. One CAI and IOS. Just try to remember the function. These are diminished. So then it is very tough for the respiration. So causing a vicious cycle, more carbon dioxide, further decrease in the respiration, then more carbon dioxide, and so further ending in rapid respiratory death. So these are the complications. So this is about the hypercapnia. Cyanosis. What is cyanosis? The term cyanosis means blueness, bluish discoloration of the skin, and its cause is excessive amount of deoxygenated hemoglobin in the skin, blood vessel, especially in the capillaries. So better definition, cyanosis is the condition where the bluish discoloration of the skin and other part occurs. This deoxygenated hemoglobin, as in intense dark blue-purple color, that is transmitted through the skin. In general, definite cyanosis appears whenever the arterial blood contains more than 5 gram of deoxygenated hemoglobin in each 100 milliliters of blood. So it occurs because of the mixture of oxygen and deoxygenated blood. Cyanosis seen in polycythemia, not in anemia. What is polycythemia? Increased RBC count is called a polycythemia. Person with anemia almost never becomes cyanotic because there is not enough hemoglobin for 5 grams to be deoxygenated in 100 milliliters of arterial blood. This is the cause. In a person with excess RBC, that is polycythemia vera, the great excess of available of hemoglobin that can become deoxygenated leads to cyanosis. This is the major cause. In hypoxic hypoxia, less partial pressure of oxygen, so more reduced hemoglobin, and when it exceeds more than 5 grams, cyanosis develops. So hypoxic hypoxia is the base for cyanosis. In stagnant hypoxia, due to slow blood flow for more oxygen extracted from the blood, so more reduced hemoglobin, so chances of cyanosis. So hypoxia, hypoxic hypoxia, stagnant hypoxia. All the 4 causes, they may lead to cyanosis. In histotoxic hypoxia, no oxygen utilization, no reduced hemoglobin produced, no cyanosis. So oxygen availability will be no more. So histotoxic hypoxia will not produce cyanosis. Local factors like exposure to mild to cold causes the cyanosis here. This is due to cutaneous vasoconstriction. In cold climate, you may see the cyanosis. So what is the cause? This is cutaneous vasoconstriction of both the arteries and the veins. So less blood flow at a stagnant hypoxia-like condition. Exposure to severe cold, no cyanosis because of oxygen hemoglobin curve shifts to left and prevents release of oxygen from the hemoglobin. So oxygen consumption of tissue reduces markedly as there is a reduced metabolism. Amount of reduced hemoglobin is less and no cyanosis occurs in severe cold. Sites of cyanosis. Areas of thin skin, mucous membrane of under surface of the tongue where you can see the cyanosis, lips, earlobes, nail beds, tip of the nose. These are the sites where you can see the cyanosis when you will be studied in detail about the clinical examination of the system. In general physical examination, you have to rule out the cyanosis as a part of general physical examination. In the observation, you are seeing the cyanosis and anemia also. So these are the sites where you have to look for the cyanosis. Types of cyanosis: central cyanosis and peripheral cyanosis. These are the basic 2 classifications. Central cyanosis, it is due to hypoxic hypoxia, where the partial pressure of oxygen in the artery is less, and all its causes. So peripheral cyanosis, it is due to stagnant hypoxia and all its causes. Fissures, extremities are warped and blue due to hyperdynamic circulation. Cyanosis on tip and nose, lips, and tongue, we can see. Here in peripheral cyanosis, extremities are cold and blue due to less blood flow and vasoconstriction of vessels. So cyanosis we can see here, nail and beds. Nail beds, sorry. So cyanosis is a 3-mark question for your examination point of view. You have to write the definition, classification, and causes and differences. So next is the asphyxia. Asphyxia is nothing but the occlusion of airway, causes suffocation, strangulation, drowning, and obliteration of the blood vessels. So this is a viva question, asphyxia. So you should know what asphyxia means. Hypoxia, asphyxia are the together viva questions. Complete stoppage of the breathing is called as asphyxia. So this results in the hypoxia. There are two types: general hypoxia and local hypoxia. Stage of exaggerated breathing, stage of conversion, stage of exhaustion and collapse. So this is not much required for our examination point of view. I would like to waive this one. So treatment for this is artificial respiration. Subject may be able to survive, but care has to be taken for hypoxic damage and myocardium. It's not required for you right now. Okay. So here one more topic I would like to add here. Apart from these some small topics, one of the important topic for your examination point of view is abnormal breathing. So it is also called as pediatric breathing. So just you listen, there are two types of abnormal breathing. One is a chain stroke breathing and the other one Biot's breathing. What normal you know rhythm and rate of breathing. So normally it occurs. So when there is a pathology, abnormal breathing, we can see the form of hyperventilation and hyperventilation. Apart from these, there are some other breathings called as chain stroke breathing and Biot's breathing. These are 3-mark question and a viva question also. And the physiology behind this you should know. So what is this chain stroke breathing? Chain stroke breathing is characterized by hypercapnia and apnea. What is hypercapnia? Increased carbon dioxide level. What is apnea? Stoppage of respiration. Hypercapnia. What happens in hypercapnia? Because of increased PCO2, body will try to eliminate the carbon dioxide. So it leads to hyperventilation. Okay, when you plot it, often I will show how the graph will be. Right now it is not possible. So just imagine the hypercapnia begins. So initially the rate of the respiration will be normal, gradually goes on increasing. You start having hyperventilation. Initially when you start it will be slow, then gradually it goes on increasing. So it is hypercapnia and it reaches to one typical level. It is called as maximum, and from that point gradually it decreases. Gradually decreases, and at one particular time it leads to apnea. So we are talking about the periodic breathing. Periodic breathing, there are two types. One is chain stroke breathing. In chain stroke breathing, it is characterized by hypercapnia and apnea. Hypercapnia starting will be slow and gradually it increases, and again gradually it decreases. It leads to apnea. When you plot it, you will plot the graph, you will understand. This apnea, again, it leads to hypercapnia. Slowly the rate increases, it leads to maximum, and it will come back to minimum, leads to apnea. The cyclic repetition will be there. This gradual increase in hypercapnia is called as waxing. So gradual increase is called as waxing, gradual decrease is called as waning, and next part is called as apnea. Okay. This cyclical repetition of waxing, waning is the part of hypercapnia and apnea. It is the characteristic feature of chain stroke breathing. Now you will understand better if I tell the conditions in which you can see this type of breathing in human. One, during sleep, you observe the respiration of the normal person, which we call as quiet respiration. In conscious state, you won't see any change. If you observe the same respiration when you are sleeping, there will be change in the rate and rhythm of the respiration. That is characterized by chain stroke. Okay, during sleep. In high altitude, you can see this chain stroke breathing. In a newborn, if you compare the respiration with yourself and the newborn, so the newborn, it's a type of periodic breathing, chain stroke breathing. After exercise, that hyperventilation, it is not uniform. It is a type of chain stroke breathing. Increase intracranial pressure. Increase intracranial pressure. We can see chain stroke breathing. Cardiac diseases, renal diseases, and in infants. So these are the conditions in which you can see the chain stroke breathing. So chain stroke breathing is a 3-mark question for you. It comes under periodic breathing. If periodic breathing is asked, you have to write about the chain stroke breathing and Bird's breathing also. Chain stroke breathing is characterized by hypercapnia and apnea. Hypercapnia, initially it will be slow, gradually it increases, it reaches to its maximum and comes down, gradually decreases. This increase and decrease is called as waxing, decrease is called as waning, and leads to apnea. So cyclic repetition will be there. So these are the conditions what I told. I repeat one more time. During sleep, high altitude, prolonged hyperventilation, newborn, after exercise, increase intracranial pressure, cardiac failure, renal failure. You can see the chain stroke breathing. Then what is Byers breathing? The same thing. Hyperventilation followed by apnea. There won't be waxing and waning. If you remove that part, if you plot the graph, the simply hyperventilation, the rate and depth of the respiration will be more, and sudden apnea stoppage, again hyperventilation. This type of breathing you can see in dogs. Today you observe the respiration of the dog. It respires in the form of hyperventilation. It stops in between. So Byers breathing is a typical example of dog's breathing. Okay, so we discussed about periodic breathing. So there are two types. One is the chain stroke breathing, another is the Byers breathing. So it is a 3-mark question. Both together may ask or say chain stroke alone. It will carry 3-mark question. And sure it is a part of OMR question. So this covers almost all applied part. So some pathologic conditions you should know the terms like asthma, pneumonia, pneumothorax, just all these tuberculosis. Just go through. It's not right to it is not that much important for you people. So the second half of the respiration here I conclude. So the first half taken by Dr. Gaurmanu, second half I conducted totally 7 classes so far I took apart from one SGD. So I started the second half. So number of students who attended for the respiration online classes was very less than 50 students, not percentage. So some starting classes, some around 40 to 50 students. Strength was there later for this applied aspect. Hardly 25 to 30 students are appearing. I don't know what the reason behind this. Here today, couple of days, you can see that traveling may be one of the reason. But we want to go through the rules and regulations. So online classes, we may cover some portions in the one more time in the form of SGD, tutorials, tests, whatever. Okay, so far I covered the regulation of the respirations, which includes both neural regulation and chemical regulations. In detail, it is a long question, 10-mark question for you people. Then I discussed about hypoxia today. Again, I took 15-20 minutes to revise that one. It is also a long question. Then I discussed about the high altitude, which is examination. Whatever I covered, the second half examination point of view, 100% is very important. All theory questions. I discussed high altitude acclimatization, underwater physiology. I discussed with some applied diseases, narcosis, West's disease, Casey's disease, like that. Aviation medicine, so we discussed about the gravitational forces, the effects of gravitational forces on the body. Then today is some applied aspect like hypercapnia in a small format, and cyanosis and periodic. So these are the contents of the second half of the respiration. So here, as for we people, respiratory system is poor. We're supposed to conclude respiration in 12 classes. We have taken 14 classes. I think so. If you are having any questions with respect to respiratory system, you meet us in the department. Anyway, from 18th, we will be having the offline classes. So entire July month, you are having the PG timetable, which includes offline theory, offline practical. Offline practical, we have to cover all the practicals which we covered online. So initial lecture is over. So student were calling with the small group demonstration. Yeah, student group with the demonstration. So you will be having, you won't get the time for revision. So whatever you are doing, in that next time you will do for the examinations. So online we covered so far with respect to hepatology, PTCT, AEC, ALC. Then apart from this, blood pressure, the effect of posture and exercise also. And apart from this, we are covering shortly the respiratory practicals, and radiography is also over for you. So you have to cover offline as early as possible. You have to be with the report, with the graph. You have to attach that graph to the journal. Okay, so you settle yourself as early as possible. You ready mentally for the offline classes. So I can't ask any queries with respect to the respiratory system now, as time is over. If you are having any queries, if you want any discussion, personally in a small group, you will meet us in the department. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I said thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.